What is up, mi gente? Que es la que hay? Welcome to another live stream here on Gonzalez Media TV. As always, I'm your host, Jose G, and returning for another week here with me, my compadre, Joel Thomas. What's up, broski? How are you?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
I'm doing great, bro, man. Things are certainly heating up in WWE on Raw and Smackdown, man. Great stuff going on, man. So we're gonna jump into both of those shows today, guys. But as always, make sure you smash that like button on today's show. Share the show out in your favorite wrestling group, in your chat, in your group chat, whatever you want to do, man. Go ahead and share this, show that support in today's show. And you haven't done it yet, make sure you follow the channel Gonzalez Media TV on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube at Gonzalez Media TV. And we're also live right now on Millions, the only platform that links up content creators and athletes to get brand deals, sponsorship deals, all sorts of great stuff for the athletes. So join me on Millions. We are live there right now. Joe, what's going on, Poppy? How you been? What's going on with you, man?
Good, man. Good. Just, working. We were talking a little bit off air before we jumped on. So, I got a lot going on, just staying busy. And at the same time, it's a busy month, man. I've got a lot going on just with all the work that I do, and then WrestleMania season. So it's like I got two jobs. I got to pay attention to everything going on because, man, there's all these like little things, and you know how WWE is, man. They got something going on in the background, and then it's like that little things could be some big things. So
Oh yeah. No, it's just keeping up with all this stuff, bro. It's a full-time job in its own, man. And
Yeah.
and that's we're not even covering like news, right? Like that, because that's a whole nother rabbit hole to jump into, because you could just get involved with that. But we're just covering what's going on here in WWE as we lead up into WrestleMania, man. Things are like we talked in the last conversation we had. We were being a little bit stressful on the fact that they weren't pulling the trigger on the storylines. 2 weeks later, things are definitely heating up. I love what's going on with Rhea, Io, and Bianca. That story's really kind of got me right now. The stuff that's going on with Naomi, amazing. And the back and forth that we got with Cody and John on Monday, mwah, chef's kiss, masterpiece. But man, overall, in the last 2 weeks, man, what do you think of the progress we've gotten over the last 2 weeks?
it's better. It's definitely heating up. And I do think, and I mentioned I can't remember who it was the other day. It might have been my girl. And I said that I feel like once they come off the European tour, it's really going to hit real hard. I think that's when we're going to get it in its full swing, because I think you're going to see Cena and Cody playing more on SmackDown after that. I don't think they're going to be on Raw. I think they did that for a reason, because they're in Europe and, Netflix and Raw. But from all indications, from what I'm seeing, that Cena might not even be around that much leading up to WrestleMania. But I do think that he's going to pop in. I think maybe they're trying to make us look one way and then do something else. I got a feeling The Rock's going to hit the scene hard in the next couple weeks too, especially they're back in the States. So I think it's going to be a lot easier for him to slide in and out. And I was very encouraged with the fact that Cody brought up The Rock. Finally, he was a part of the equation to this, because that's something everybody kept asking. Why is The Rock not even being brought up in this whole equation? And he did bring up the fact that, out of the two of us in the ring, only one of us sold his soul to The Rock. So that was good. But I love how Cena didn't even acknowledge it and just kept moving on from it. So I think they're saving something big, some master class on what they're going to do to us at Mania with all this. And I know there's a lot of speculation that there's going to be some sort of group that's going to surround Cena. I kind of lend to that idea too. I'm not sure who all is going to be a part of it, but it just kind of seems like that they're setting it up to look like Cena can't do it on his own, that he's going to need help. And the way Cody just eviscerated him in the ring with one crossroad, by the way, that was it. Took him out. Cena did a good job selling that to where he couldn't even move. But I think we're going to see a lot of Cody kind of getting the upper hand of Cena going into Mania. And typically, whenever I see one wrestler getting the upper hand of the other one going into a match, I kind of feel like the other guy's probably going to win. So,
Yeah, we'll see. We'll definitely see, because you know what? Let's just jump into it, because Friday night We saw the kind of like the setup of what we're going to see on Monday, but primarily on Friday night was about the contract signing, right? And
Right.
got to see that at the end of the night. There was a lot of stuff that went down. Quick little promo here at the beginning with Cody, and then Randy Orton kind of shows up, congratulating him. He's telling that he's proud of him. And leading up, Drew McIntyre interrupts, calling them both Nepo babies, which facts. They are facts. I mean, I thought that was great, but Drew McIntyre's just been on a roll on the microphone over the last year, man. But yeah, so he came out. He was just calling them both Nepo babies, and he was only the one spitting facts in the show. And he pretty much challenged Randy Orton to a match, and we got to see that later on in the night. Nice little matchup here between the Yes Boys, Pretty Deadly, and Street Profits. Street Profits looking strong. They really haven't really turned fully heel. They're kind of in between right now. They're tweeners, but I love what their new persona, that nice new dark persona, that they're kind of emitting. They changed their entrance music. I love, what they're doing right now. They retained their title. They've got a win over Pretty Deadly in London. But I want to get your quick thoughts on Street Profits. Ever since the little change in attitude and change in persona, I think they're doing a really good job right now, bro.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I was hoping that this would have happened when they were with Bobby Lashley the first time, and I
Right?
think that's what they were going to do. But then with everything that happened with Bobby Lashley and him leaving and going to AEW eventually, I think that they kind of scrapped that, because if you'll remember, they did change their music for a little bit there when they were with Lashley, and it wasn't the same
Yeah.
as it is now, but they did, and then they changed it right back to their original
Mm-hmm.
music a few weeks later. So they kind of scrapped that idea on the fly, and they ended up going back the route of babyface. And I do think you're right. They're in the tweener stage right now, but they could just as easily go heel at
Yeah.
any point.
They could definitely pull that trigger. Yes, for sure.
For sure. My biggest question with this match was, I was actually shocked with the way it ended. I wasn't expecting it to be a clean finish. I kind of felt like there would be some other tag teams involved, because I feel like that's kind of the end game here, is some sort of either ladder match or all 5 teams involved somehow, right? They've been talking about this. They've been leading up to this for almost 5 months now. So it just kind of was weird that nobody else got involved. And I get they want to make the Street Profits look strong, and I understand that, but they could have still had them win and then had some shenanigans. I just felt like that. Where do we go from here? How do you get all of them in it if they're not all involved and the Street Profits are just kind of dominating? I don't know. I still think it's going to be all of them involved. I don't see how it's not going to be, because they've all been kind of, if you remember the Nick Aldis little drawing where he had like all the, kind of looked like a conspiracy board.
I know that tug at your conspiracy heart there, bro.
Yeah.
No, that was great, man. But yeah, I think you're right. I think they can definitely pull the trigger as far as going full heel whenever they want. Right now, they're in a good stage. Maybe we see it at WrestleMania. We'll see where this whole tag team division leads up. But one thing I did want to bring up was the United States champion Chelsea and her Secret Service. That whole situation has been hella entertaining, bro. Like, especially with the addition of Alba Fire there now being part of the Secret Service, it just kind of gives this character, Chelsea Green, United States champion, just a lot more depth. But it's also so hilarious how good Chelsea Green is at what she's doing right now as U.S. champion.
Yeah, and I'm a huge Chelsea Green fan, and she's actually an absolutely phenomenal wrestler too. And I think that's because of her character, she doesn't get to display that as much. And I think that we'll see more of that in the future. She's so over right now. It's almost like she's not even really a heel sometimes, because they're chanting her name and they love her. And by the way, that night of SmackDown was the first time I really knew what they were saying. I was like, they're not saying service. What are they saying? They're saying Hervis. They're taking the sir out and putting Hervis.
Oh,
It clicked with me
little
finally,
woke ass motherfuckers.
and they showed the graphic pop up, and I was like, "Oh, that's gold, man. It just fits like her whole
That's
persona of this."
hilarious, bro.
Yeah, it finally clicked with me what they were saying, and then the graphic popped up. I'm like, "Oh, that's it. That's what they did. They took the
That's
sir out
so
and put
good.
her."
That is so good. That's kind of like what they were doing in Italy with the Mona Lisa or the Mona
Yes.
Lisa, but with Live on Lisa. Oh my god, dude, it was great.
That
All that
was
stuff.
great.
But I did want to stop really quick on LA Night match with Braun Strowman. Got interrupted by Jacob Fatu. This definitely setting up some sort of triple threat match at WrestleMania. But your boy LA Knight, we were talking and texting earlier in the week that you got a feeling that LA Knight's going to do some type of turn and maybe line up with Team Cena and Rock and all of them. I think that'll be pretty cool, but elaborate on that, man, because I don't know how we're going to see that happen. He's so over right now. It'll probably be maybe, I mean, I don't know if the crowd will like it, but I don't know. Do you think he might be shooting himself in the foot being so hot right now as he is to do that turn?
Well, it depends on how they do it, and it depends on what their plan is with Cena. See, I think Cena is talking a lot of madness that he's not going to actually follow through with. I think this is all a bait and switch. So I think Cena's setting everybody up. I'm taking this title home. You guys don't deserve it. I don't think that's going to happen. My personal prediction is he's winning at WrestleMania. I don't see how you turn him heel and go through all this trouble to make this big moment in history and not put the rocket behind a heel Cena with the belt. I just think it makes way too much sense. And it also gives Cody the chance to chase again. And I think that Cody chasing or any babyface chasing is always good for business because you get to beat him up a lot along the way and have him go through a lot of struggles to get back. So how I think this is just me predicting how I think they could do the LA Knight turn. I think LA Knight, regardless, I think he's losing the title at WrestleMania. I honestly think he's just transitional champion. I think that the reason why they put the belt back on him in the first place was the original plan, in my opinion, was never to take it off of him. I think they really backed themselves in the corner with Shinsuke because they couldn't put Shinsuke up on him and have him lose. It just couldn't happen. So they put the belt on him, and I know he was wrestling in Japan and he took the belt over there for a little bit too. So that was kind of part of the marketing ploy that they did. And people just weren't feeling it. And obviously it's WWE's fault. They didn't put Shinsuke out there enough. They didn't build his story
Yeah.
enough. And if they were going to have some sort of feud with him in LA Knight, they kept him apart too long. So by the time they got him back together, it only made sense to put the belt back on LA Knight. And I think they did that for a reason. So I think what's going to happen is LA Knight's got the title, but I do think that he's going to run into some problems with this Jacob Fatu situation and Braun.
Mhm.
Also, don't put it out of the realm of possibility that Solo's not involved in like a fatal four-way or something leading up to this, because it
I
could
like that.
shake out that way. They're already having issues, so it
Yeah.
could be that happens as well. I think they're going to put the strap on Fatu. I just don't see how they don't. You put him in this U.S. title match again. He's so over. I just kind of feel like they're going to pull the trigger on him because I think he's going to be a generational talent, and I think he's already is. And I just think
Oh,
that
for sure.
5 years from now, we're going to be talking about him and Braun Breaker and some of those guys being at the top of the business. And how you pull it off is Cena's on SmackDown. Cena's probably going to show up on SmackDown at some point between now and Mania. And I don't see it out of the realm of possibility that he at some point rubs shoulders with LA Knight backstage or something, and he makes a comment to LA Knight, maybe along the lines of, the company really doesn't care about talent or whatever, and they've already worked together. They kind of have this relationship because he helped Cena, Cena helped him. They got this thing there already that they can pull back on and say, oh, well, this is good for the storyline. And I mentioned last time we talked, they already showed the clip with LA Knight working with Rock, which was super weird. Why would they show that as part of like a montage of the Rock going into Elimination Chamber? They do everything for a reason. WWE's really crafty at putting these little things here and there
For
that you
sure.
see that you're not recognizing. So in my opinion, he loses at Mania. Maybe he doesn't even get pinned. Maybe it's Strowman or whoever gets pinned and he's out of it. And then Cena sees him again, maybe backstage, like, I told you. He's like, you need whatever. Doesn't even really offer to join with me, but kind of throws it out there. And I could see LA Knight helping Cena at some point or turning on. I could even see some match like after Cody loses the belt and it ends up being some sort of tag match with Cena and whoever else versus LA Knight and Cody. And then LA Knight just pulls a Cena and kicks him in the balls, and then joins Cena. Something along those lines. See, what I've been seeing a lot of people clamoring online is when LA Knight, when is he going to get the case? Everybody expects him at some point to get the case. And I think that he would be gold with the case. He's gold on the mic. He'd be awesome with it. And then he could go after the other title. And if you're building some sort of faction and you want him looking strong, man, you could have a whole thing going on up until like SummerSlam or whatever, when they kind of start getting cracks in the seams. It would help. I know what some people think, that it could hurt LA Knight because he's so over and he's such a face, but he's honestly more of a tweener. He does a lot of like heel stuff to win matches still. I mean, it's like the Fatu match when he was pulled Fatu out and then went in and covered him real quick. He's still kind of, LA Knight's not going to change his persona if he goes heel. He's just going to be a little more aggressive is all that's going to happen. He's still going to be the same guy on the mic. He's still going to be, cutting great promos. I think he'll fit. And I think it would work because the backstory's there about how he gets there with them. But I do think he's got to get screwed for him to have a reason to join them. And I think maybe him losing that belt. And maybe that's why they put the strap on him in the first place, was to have that piece of the story happen. Like, you know what? Let's put it on him for a couple months. And at the same time, now you made him a 2-time champ. So that's always going to look good on your accolades. I think that's how you get there. Now, all the little nuances that happen to get there, that's up for debate, but I think there's a way.
Yeah, the way you just laid it out makes a lot of sense. It'll be kind of awesome if it does, roll out the same exact way that you just described it. That'd be hilarious, dude.
Yeah.
But jumping back into on SmackDown, we saw this matchup between Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton. Drew McIntyre got the win with a nice Claymore there, thanks to Kevin Owens, causing a little distraction to Randy Orton. Kevin Owens went ahead and took advantage of Randy Orton to finish up that night and kind of continue that storyline. What do you think here is going to be the end goal? Because that story kind of has, for me at least, has kind of braked hard. It really hasn't done anything ever since, the comeback, or ever since Elimination Chamber, right? We've had these promos of him in the car and things like that. He hasn't really done anything to be like, damn, I really need to see that match. We were just having this conversation about Jey Uso and Gunther, and Monday they really fixed that, right?
They did.
So now Kevin Owens and Randy Orton is kind of in that same situation where Gunther and Jey Uso were a few weeks ago. So what does this program need in order for you to bite your teeth into as we get closer to WrestleMania?
It's got to get nasty at some point. We got to see, we don't need to see any pile drivers or punts. Save that for Mania. But I think they need to get pretty nasty. And side note, you just showed McIntyre. I'm actually kind of getting excited for him and Priest now. I wasn't before, but after what happened backstage, I got a little jacked up. And the one thing with Priest that I always have such a huge problem with the way that he's booked. Well, one, he's booked like an absolute tank and never loses. But besides that,
Priest, bro.
Yeah, he is a tank, but at the end of the day, I don't think they let his true personality come out enough, and I think they should let him be a little more funny, which he did, as a matter of fact, when he was blasting McIntyre up in the back, where he's like, rest in peace, like the Undertaker, and all that stuff. That was great. And the way he pulled that random dude out of the car that was driving the that guy that was driving the BMW and just slammed it through the table. That was perfect. That was great. And it got me excited because now you get to see a little more action. And I think that's where McIntyre thrives. And I think that they put Priest in that category of like, they're just beating each other on site. I kind of feel like that's what they got to do with Randy and KO too. They really need to ramp that up. We need to see some people go through some, tables or smacked with some chairs, something to get it a little more juice, because they're banking on us still believing on what happened before, that KO put him out for X amount of months because he pile drived him, and that's going to invest us enough. It's not. And a perfect example of that is when they set up the Jay versus Jimmy fight at WrestleMania, and they banked on us with all this history, but they didn't get us excited enough.
No,
And then the match was
not at all.
so that hurt too. And it's like, you can't do that with KO and Randy. Now, I know they'll put on a great match in the ring. We know that's going to happen, but they need to amp it up to a point they put some stipulation on it. I feel like it's got to be some sort of no disqualification, in my opinion. And it just needs to be just full on beating each other to death, because you built these guys up to be those guys. And if you're not doing that, then I just feel like you're missing the boat.
Plus the history, the tag team history that they got with each other, right? KO called him his, one of his best friends. He looked up to him. So there's definitely a lot of history there, mentorship, so this relationship goes back quite a bit, not just on camera, but behind the camera. So I have all the confidence in the world that this will definitely be a banger of a match. That's no doubt, like you said. I just want to see the story to be developed more, because it's a good story, but it's just kind of died off over the last 2 or 3 weeks. And in WWE's offense, it's a lot of stories, and it's 2 nights worth of WrestleMania. You can't give all of us everything that we want every single week. But these are the questions that you ask, because you're like, okay, well, what's going on with this story? You just give us 2 or 3 minutes of what's going on with that story, and then you move on to the next one. So I agree with you. I think we need to get like a stipulation. It needs to get violent. We'll see. We still got a few more weeks, but I'm definitely looking forward to this matchup. But let's get to this contract signing, bro, because this contract signing was excellent. We had a little bit of action, but it was mainly what was spoken during this during this promo and this contract signing. Roman spoke, Seth Rollins spoke, CM Punk spoke, and man, even though Roman doesn't have his title, just his presence and talking on that mic, man, woo! He's like, thank you. He's like, one man's favor is another man. What was it? One man's favor is another man's checklist. Boom, done. It's like great. I love what he's doing. I also love the fact that Seth Rollins is like, all his nightmares are becoming a reality, right? CM Punk's in the main event of WrestleMania. Roman is back as the head of the table, tribal chief. All his nightmares that could ever happen are happening in real time. Yet it's hella entertaining because of the history, over a decade history between these 3 people in the ring right now. And man, I can't wait for this matchup at WrestleMania. And if just a little bit of conversation and back and forth that we got that Friday, especially when Heyman went up to CM Punk and explained to him what was the clause in the contract. He's like, I know what you're looking for. And it's in there. It's in there. You're getting it. Your dream of main eventing WrestleMania. And man, whoever CM Punk's acting class coach is, man, give him an award, because you saw tears coming out of Punk's eyes, and Roman is just smiling in the background. It was just, the whole entire segment was great. Then Seth Rollins is on the other side. He's like, no, this is not happening. I don't want this to happen. It was just, right here. So it was great. What did you think of this segment? I thought this is probably one of the most memorable contract signings in a long, long time.
Yeah. So I did hear that the moment that CM Punk and Heyman shared was very genuine, and I think that's why that we saw the tears and everything. I think it was a very genuine moment in the sense of, CM Punk probably knew ahead of time. Some people suggested online that he didn't know before that happened. I highly doubt that, but I do feel like it was just kind of like a very like a relief, like in front of everybody, that he's finally getting what he always wanted, and that's just breaking kayfabe. I think they did have that moment together because, they are good friends in real life, and they've always been connected to each other. And the promos by each of them leading up to the square off with all 3 of them, I thought was fantastic. I thought Roman coming out first was great because he could move the chair to the front, head of the table. That was kind of the goal there. And, he got to talk to the crowd a little bit. It's really interesting seeing Roman Reigns so over as a babyface, and he is an absolute heel. He's not changed at all. I don't think anybody's noticed the fact that he is no different than he was before. They just slightly shifted his character and like who he's going against, and people just love him. And I think people love like what he became. I think that he wasn't forced down everybody's throat like he was early on in the career. And actually, funny enough, I went back and watched the old promo with John Cena absolutely destroying him in the ring.
Oh,
And
God.
that was so bad. Back when he was the big dog, I watched that the other day
Yeah.
again just because like I wanted to see how far he'd come. And like, man, he's so much more comfortable in the mic. And I think Heyman's got a lot to do with that. I think working with Heyman's always going to help with those type of things. And, you know, I don't know if you've ever watched the series on Peacock called Villains, and they do a episode on each wrestler that's turned heel. I think the first episode was Hogan. They did one on Roman, and I thought it was very interesting looking at the behind the scenes stuff of him talking about, I just started being myself when I used to beat up my cousins when I was a kid. He said, I just started being that guy again, and it's natural. It doesn't feel forced. He's just being himself. Seth Rollins, the same thing. He's super over the top. But yeah, he's acting like a petulant child, and I love it because he can't stand CM Punk. He can't stand him. So the whole thing is, he even said it. He said, the number one thing in this business is to main event WrestleMania, but he's like, mine is to keep you from not main eventing WrestleMania. Like, it's more important to him that CM Punk never does. And the fact that he is makes me think there's going to be some shenanigans in this match. It's triple threat, which means no disqualification. So that means anything can go. Look out for Heyman. Look out for Heyman pulling something. I know everybody thinks it's going to be the swerve and him going with CM Punk. I don't know, man. Look out for something odd. And people think Lesnar could show up during that match and just go ape. It's very possible.
That'd be Roman's worst nightmare.
Nightmare. He ain't got the title anymore for protection. Because remember, right? The deal was Brock could not fight him as long as he had the title because he'd already fought 3 times. That doesn't happen anymore.
Exactly. I mean, Roman's definitely come a long ass way from suffering succotash, huh? But let's jump real quick to Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw was awesome. We got like a full half-hour promo between Cena and Rhodes. It was epic. Beautiful. One of the most memorable promos I have ever seen. And for a change, Cody didn't start. He started talking, but he commanded most of the conversation. And what was interesting about it was that Cena acknowledged the fact that Rhodes, yes, was his driver. That, yes, Rhodes would carry around his bags and do all that stuff. And he almost felt a little betrayed that he just stuck around with him just to gain all the knowledge to be that guy, right? Then Cody, on the other side, he's just, rebuttaling, and actually not even rebuttaling. He tried to get like an offense on him on Monday. And man, he brought everything from Stardust to, just bringing back his history, acknowledging the history, right? Acknowledging AEW, right? And one line that really stood out for me on Monday was that Cena told Rhodes, I make billionaires empires while you lose billionaire money, or something around that. It was like something around that. I don't remember the exact quote.
He said, while you steal kids' money.
Yes.
Their kids' money. Yeah.
Woo! Dude.
That's that con reference right there, man. That was wild.
Oh, man. That was that was just right into the solar plexus and just twist the knife at it. It was good. It was a hell of a line. Man, one of the best promos. Then towards the end of the promo, Cena's walking out, trying to like show that, oh, I'm okay, I'm gonna leave. And no, he tries to get a sneak attack on him. Rhodes gets him with the crossroads. Beautiful shot there by WWE. Cool, shout out to them. And to close out the segment. So, man, one of the best promos on a Monday night leading up to WrestleMania, man. Wow. Unbelievable. Just 2 pros on the mic going at it. Don't even have to throw a blow. You do just one move at the end. Man, woo, so good.
Yeah, man. I thought it was amazing. I was actually watching it with the family and we were just in awe. I know my son every little bit was like, oh, like he said that. Like, it was so good because they set it up really well where before Cena could even talk, Rhodes just interrupts. The Rhodes kind of he hauls around, they're just kind of building. And then Cena gets the mic. And I love how they really broke the fourth wall here. And they really started talking to a lot of the stuff that's being talked about online, a lot of stuff that's been talked about Cena for the duration of his career, a lot of things that were talked about Codes during the duration of his career. I love how he said, listen, I'm not here to cook you. I'm here to bury you. All you people think I bury talent anyway. He's like, guess what? I am talent. He's like, I just bury mediocrity. So that was awesome because he played into what people already said about him in his career. Everything they said about him, he used as a tool. And I love how he said, you want to know the real reason is because you copy me. You are a mediocre copy of like what I am. And they've strapped you with the rocket because these fans don't care about mediocrity. They just see a shiny belt. And he's like, after I take that away, you can go to the Fanatic store and get a toy belt like the rest of them out here in the crowd. So that was good. And then you're like waiting because he is absolutely eviscerating Cody at that moment. That's classic Cena, where he's tearing him up on the mic.
He's cooking.
Kind of like how he did The Rock when they feuded, because he really gave it to The Rock when they feuded. And for Cody, I saw him smiling. And I said, man, Cody's about to really go off. And I think people forget how good Cody is because Cody has to play this, like you always say, white meat baby face. So he has to be real rigid and he can't get outside of that. And he was allowed to get outside of that on this and really go AEW Cody and get real nasty. And I love the line where he said, you got more dick in that promo than you do in your jorts. And I was like, whoa, like that's insane. Like he just really blew it off there. And you could even see Cena kind of smirk a little bit underneath because he's probably pretty proud of him in that moment. Like, oh, that was a good one. And then they he started naming off all these other things about Cena too. How that you think that this is easy, like what I'm doing, and I copied you. He's like, no. He's like, the fans wanted me. He's like, they didn't want you. There's a guy in the back room who we don't even talk his name anymore that pushed you.
So good, man. So good. I especially love that line when he just looks at John Cena dead in the eye and he's like, we all know that you're full of shit. And then Cena just has a little smirk and he's like, there you go, with nothing but feces on your mind. I was like, ooh, damn. It's just, you know what? I think that ever since Cena left to Hollywood, now that he has some acting chops under him, and to be honest, to be brutally honest, bro, like Cena's a way better actor than Dwayne Johnson. Don't get me wrong. I love me a good Dwayne Johnson, action blockbuster movie, but they're all the same, right?
Yeah.
Cena actually has some, he's got some different strengths, man. He could be funny. He could be a badass. He could be an action star. So whoever his acting coach is, man, he's been doing a great job at, this whole story with Cody, back and forth, these promos, man, unforgettable. Definitely
phenomenal. And to his acting skills, like you said, he's been able to keep a straight face this entire time, even with the crowd. He's really good at playing to the crowd. He's always been good at playing to the crowd, but I love when they prove his point by chanting or something. He just holds the mic out and he's like, yeah, there they go again. He's like, I knew they were going to say it before they even said it. So he's really good at that. And I'm glad finally this feud moved to the next phase where we finally got the square off. They were equally good on the mic. I know that everybody online has to argue about who did better. I don't think it was either. I just think they both were on the same level. I think that's what we wanted to see. We all knew Cena was going to cook, but could Cody go toe to toe? And he prefaced it with, I know these guys in the back locker room were scared of you on the mic, but I'm not. And that's when you knew he was really about to go in. I was like, okay. Yeah. And he said some pretty nasty stuff to Cena, man. Very Cena-ish, how Cena would do people back in the day. And I said, man, this is going to be good. This is going to be a really good feud now. I think once we get back in the States, I think we're going to see the feud blossom more, because there's no way they can have just Rhodes on the mic for the next couple weeks going into Mania. Either The Rock shows up, maybe Travis Scott, maybe Cena shows up. Maybe they act like Cena's not going to show up and Cena, bamboozles him backstage or something happens. It's going to get nasty. There's no way it doesn't between now and Mania to get it going.
I'll tell you what, I'm definitely looking forward to that video package right before the match goes off, bro. That video package is gonna be fire, bro. For sure. So speaking of things that are starting to heat up, bro, Gunther, Jey Uso, we finally get some action. Gunther and Jimmy Uso had a matchup on Monday night, and poor Jimmy Uso, man, just getting obliterated and just buried by Gunther. And Jey Uso came out later on to try to make the save because, he started attacking Jimmy. Jey decided to, attack Gunther there. Then as he was leaving, Gunther, who had escaped moments earlier, attacked both of them from behind. And this is when the beating really started getting going. He starts to put the zip ties right around Jey Uso's wrist, keeps him right there on the ring. Jimmy Uso's busted open after getting hit from the ring, from the belt, the World Championship belt. And he's just putting a nasty beatdown right in front of Jey the entire time. He's completely just bathed in blood there. I don't know if I want to call that a blood ritual or whatever, but but man, it was violent. We talked about this. We said that we needed to see a little bit more violence. We needed to see a little bit more, Gunther attacking the family. That's exactly the route they went. Get it more personal for Jey so he can get that win if he is going to get that win at Mania. But good job on ramping up that story heading into Mania.
Yeah, for sure. I remember looking over at my girl and my son, and I was like, Jimmy needs to be bleeding by the end of this. And that's before it started. I was like, this is where it needs to go. I was like, it has to be that he puts Jimmy in the hospital. This is the only way that's going to make sense, because Jimmy's already told Jey that this version of Jey isn't going to beat Gunther. He's going to basically have to dig back into his bloodline bag to really be able to take Gunther out. And I think this is going to be the catalyst. I think they had to sacrifice Jimmy basically to make this happen. And I'm telling you, when Gunther stood up and he rubbed the blood in on his body and tasted it, he tasted it. That was crazy, man. That was next level. The next level. I said, "Oh God, that made it good."
Yeah, what does he think? We're in ECW? He thinks it's 1997 up in here, bro.
Yeah, it was so good, though. It was great, and I loved it. And that was when he hit him with the belt. I was like, if he don't come up bleeding, man, I'm gonna be disappointed. And he was gushing. I was like, that's great. So had him in the ring. It really did well. I think they definitely pulled the wool out from under us. They acted like it was going to be the same old because they had Gunther run off, but then they came back off the commercial and he blasted them. I said, here we go. It's like, we're going to get it now. And we did. We got it full on, and I'm excited for it now. Like, I really am. Like, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, definitely. Now that Jey has actually something to really fight for, now he has to avenge his brother, right? So that just definitely adds depth to that story. So, man, I'm definitely looking forward to see how that comes along. But, man, the UK, London is such a hot crowd, bro. Monday night, Logan Paul was there, and all you heard for like those 10 minutes was just straight up boos. But, man, I got to give it to Logan Paul. That pulverizer DDT move that he pulls out there on AJ Styles, woo! Unbelievable. And it looks so nice, too. And you know what, man? I'm not mad. I'm not mad that he's the only one that got it, man. And you know what? Little by little, as much as I used to say, I used to hate, watching Logan Paul, man. But now I'm starting to come around to him, man. I'm starting to come around on not only on how talented the guy is, but the guy is like a bona fide blockbuster star. He can be that guy, right? Especially with what he's done with, with his boxing matches, even though they're not like ranked by the WBC or the WBA or anything like that. But the fact that he was able to make several millions of dollars with pay-per-view buys, marketing, social media marketing. The guy knows what he's doing. And the fact that he caught on to this business super, super quick in record time, it just says to the caliber of athlete that he is. So with that being said, I've noticed some changes over the last month or so with Logan Paul's character, and I want to point them out and see if you've been able to tell, right? Because one of the things that he's been doing as of late, they changed his theme song, and now the theme song is "I'm Nothing But Humble," right? And he's not humble. Obviously, he's not a humble guy. He's not humble on socials. He's just not. We know this, right? So he's doing that on purpose, right? But what I love about it is that he's actually leaning into it, right? So now he's going out into the public, going out to the WWE universe. Well, you're broke. You're broke. You're poor. So he's just using his own persona, turning it up to 11, and I'm kind of here for it.
Yeah. So my son is the biggest Logan Paul fan, wrestling
No
wise.
way,
Yeah,
bro. There's
he
Logan
loves
Paul
Logan.
fans out there.
Yeah, he loves him. And matter of fact, my whole household is big Logan Paul fans. So my girl loves Logan Paul. I'm a big Logan Paul fan too. I've liked him out the gate. And I'll be honest with you, the reason why is because one, early on, I saw the talent in the ring. I mean, even his first match when he was, just barely touching the industry, I was like, man, he's doing some stuff guys should not be doing
For
that
sure.
green. You know what I mean? And he was doing it. And when they really leaned into the heel part, that I think is going to probably be most of his career, I really love it because he has now embraced it to the fact that I'm just going to be this guy that you don't like. And I think what's going to adversely happen is, and you're already seeing it, people are starting to like him because people like a good heel, and he's just a good heel. My son, I bought him this shirt, and it was when LA Knight and he were feuding, and
Yeah.
he's got one where he's punching LA Knight and it says night night. And so my kid wanted that. I was like, all right, I'll get it for you. That's whatever. So yeah, he likes to mess with me because he knows I'm a big LA Knight fan, so he's always messing with me. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm here for it. I love the music change. As soon as I heard it when he went to the "I'm humble," I was like, "Oh, this is perfect." And he'll even say it in the
Yes.
promos. He's like, "You know me, I'm a humble guy." Like he's like, I love it.
I'm humble, bro. I'm humble. I love it. It's good. It's good. And for that type of over the top WWE superstar, that character definitely works. I think he needed to find and hone in on it a little bit more, and I think he's definitely got it now. So
Yes.
we'll see, man. And I think the perfect person to get this persona over would be with AJ Styles at a WrestleMania. So we'll see what happens, man. But I'm definitely like what I'm seeing out of Logan Paul with this program with AJ. We did have a triple threat match for the world's women title on Monday night. Bianca Belair was the special guest referee on that matchup. As always, shenanigans on a Monday Night Raw leading up to WrestleMania. Both inadvertently hit Bianca Belair during the match. One was a drop kick, another one was a boot to the face. Bianca was like, I'm not putting up with this shit. And she did the double disqualification. Then all hell broke loose after that. So we're definitely going to get a triple threat match at WrestleMania between these three women. What I find interesting about this, Joel, is how the crowd is starting to turn on Bianca, bro. So I think a heel turn might be imminent for Bianca at some point in the next year.
Yeah, I'm big on the heel Bianca thing. I've been talking for the past couple months. Here's one thing I do know, and I've noticed this, and I don't know if you have, over the past several years, overseas do not like Bianca regardless. They're not fans of her overseas. I'm not sure the disconnect between her and the overseas crowds, but you'll notice when she gets back in the States, it's a little more friendly to her. And I'm not really sure what the reason is for that. I'll say this. I've never been a huge fan of Bianca Belair's gimmick per se. I get why it's over, and I get it sells merch, and I understand like who it's geared for, especially when it comes to kids and when it comes to that type of the merchandise. But I feel like that Bianca's so good that a heel turn would do a couple things for her. It's going to allow her to really cut loose on the mic. which she's very good at promos. That's something that
Mm-hmm.
she's doesn't lack at all. And I think once she can get cut loose, I think she's going to end up in kind of that Bailey category where she'll be kind of a tweener-ish face when she goes back face, where she can kind of keep that nastier side to her, where she's a little more forceful on the mic. And I think to do that, she's going to have to go heel to do it. Now, what gets her to go heel could be WrestleMania. And I personally think that Io comes out at WrestleMania. I think that they're going to make everyone think that it's going to be Bianca or Rhea, but I think they're going to save that match for down the road, obviously. And I think that the big bets are going to be on Rhea or Bianca to some extent to win that, because they've done a really good job at making Io seem like a third wheel, like she's third class. She's not that good. And she's a Triple H girl. She always was. He was real high on her in NXT. And I kind of think he feels like he can do with her what they should have done with Asuka when they brought Asuka up instead of canning her at WrestleMania, which was the dumbest decision ever, having her lose to Charlotte. That was stupid. And I think they got an opportunity with Io to really kind of recreate that. And she's super over, man. They were chanting Io's name like crazy in that match, more than the other two. That's the wildest thing about it. She was more over than the other two were. Now, Rhea was still over. Bianca wasn't getting a lot, but Io was getting the most. And I think people are bought into Io as a champ. And I think she's a believable champ. And here's the best part. If she wins at Mania, that's just another beating on Rhea that she adds to her tally. And she can be that kind of lifelong foil for Rhea, where that ends up being kind of this thing that stretches out over the next 5, 6, 7 years, where they're kind of rivals at this point. You can build a great rival with those two. And the thing is, with how they're both built physically, it works, because those are some of the best when you've got kind of the tank and then you got the small, quick athlete, and they're both great athletes. They make for good matches. And I think that Io, if she comes out of there as champ, you've got some great stories you can spin out with Rhea and some great stories you can spin out with Bianca from that. And then you can make Io kind of like your top tier champ for however long during the year. And I think people are ready for it, man. Most people I talk to love Io, and I'm one of them.
Dude,
and
it's
they
crazy.
love Io.
It's crazy. A few years ago, I was at Backlash in Puerto Rico, and I went to SmackDown and I went to Backlash, and I think it was at a SmackDown she was on that program. And Puerto Rico absolutely loves Io, dude. They just love Io, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's her personality or because of how amazing she is in the ring, but they just absolutely love her. And I think you're onto something. I think they're purposely kind of putting her character as a third wheel compared to the big two other juggernauts and Bianca and Rhea. Kind of insinuating, oh, let's forget about the world champion. Let's really focus on these two and give her the solid win at WrestleMania to really solidify her as, listen, I'm not just a third wheel. I'm also one of the top women here in the WWE.
Agreed, man. I think if you're going to build up another superstar to put in that top tier, I think Io's the next one up. And I think that's what I honestly feel like that's where they need to go with it. If you're trying to build new superstars, and she's not super new, but what I mean is build absolute juggernaut superstars to add in with some of the other ones they have. I think she's got to be the one. I mean, she's super over, and she's a great worker in the ring. She's got all of the intangibles, the it factor to be that. And I think people would be ready for it. I think people would be ecstatic if she won at WrestleMania. It's unexpected.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And I think the fandom for Io probably go up after WrestleMania. We'll just have to wait and see. But there's definitely something happening in the waters with Io, and people are starting to be like, ooh, shiny new toy. Sorry, guys, I had to cough real quick, but we appreciate you hanging out with us today. We covered Monday Night Raw. We covered Smackdown. Tomorrow, I'll be back live. I got Super Lucha Show joining me tomorrow night to cover NXT. We're going to be covering everything that's going down and leading up to Stand and Deliver. So make sure you guys tune in tomorrow night. That's going to be at 7 p.m. live on all the platforms. We appreciate you guys. Make sure you give me a follow on my social at Jose G Official on Instagram, TikTok, and on Facebook. And make sure you follow the channel as well, Gonzalez Media TV, on all the platforms. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Smash that notification bell so you never, ever miss whenever we go live. Joe, plug in your stuff, broski.
Yeah, the best place to get anything that I do is to go to Linktree/Joel Thomas Media. You can get to music, you can get to any of the films I do, you can get to any of the podcast stuff I do. That's the best place to go. And I promise at some point this year, there'll be some wrestling links added to that because I have some big plans in that field. And I promise that Jose and I will be doing some more stuff this year as that part of it grows.
Yes, let's go. Man, I appreciate you, Joel. Thanks for jumping on with me today, man. I'll have you back on for WrestleMania weekend so we can break down some of those matches during our live watch along. So, guys, make sure you stay tuned on all the platforms so that way you get all the updates. All right, guys? We appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight, and we'll check you guys out tomorrow.